Port Royal, 1688. Henry Morgan's raid on Panama City sounds like something a drunk pirate would brag about at a bar, and honestly, that's probably how it started. Morgan didn't have much, maybe a few ships and some angry men who were tired of being poor. He sailed up the Chagres River with almost 2,000 buccaneers in canoes and periaguas, basically wooden rafts with attitude. Spanish soldiers were waiting, fortified, confident that their forts would hold. Except Morgan had something they didn't expect, an absolutely insane willingness to just keep going. His men overwhelmed them through sheer chaos and determination, pushing through defensive positions like they had nothing to lose. Which, of course, they didn't. They took the city, ransacked churches, stole everything that wasn't nailed down, and quite a few things that were. They burned Panama City to the ground, like they were erasing proof it ever existed. The Spanish lost a major port and a mountain of resources. Morgan became a legend before he was 30. And then, in a twist nobody saw coming, he got a pardon and became governor of Jamaica. Piracy has a funny way of rewarding success with legitimacy and respectability. But success didn't last forever. By the 1720s, pirate hunting was becoming an actual profession. The Royal Navy was getting serious, and they weren't playing games anymore. Blackbeard, real name Edward Teach, learned this lesson the hard way. November 1718, North Carolina coast, specifically Ocracoke Inlet. Blackbeard had the Queen Anne's Revenge, a formidable ship with 40 cannons and a crew ready for absolutely anything that floated. He also had a reputation built entirely on terror. Lit fuses in his beard during combat, didn't blink in combat. Psychological warfare before anyone called it that. But Lieutenant Robert Maynard of the Royal Navy wasn't impressed by theater. He planned carefully. He trapped Blackbeard in shallow water where the pirate's ship couldn't maneuver properly, where all those cannons became useless weight. The battle lasted hours of close quarters combat. Swords, pistols, pure brutality. Blackbeard was shot, stabbed repeatedly, lost a leg, and kept fighting anyway. When it finally ended, he was dead. His head was mounted on the bow of Maynard's ship as a warning to anyone watching from the coast. That's how you kill a legend. You're methodical, you're patient, and you don't give him room to perform his mythology. Bartholomew Roberts, called Black Bart, was smarter about everything. He captured over 400 ships across his entire career. 400. Not through reckless direct confrontation, but through speed, deception, and an almost supernatural reputation that made merchants surrender before the shooting started. His ship, the Royal Fortune, was fast and well armed with 40 cannons and a crew that knew what they were doing. But on February 11th, 1722, the Royal Navy ship HMS Swallow caught him off the coast of West Africa near present-day Ghana. Roberts was wearing bright red silk and gold jewelry, a mark of his ego and his absolute confidence in his abilities. The battle was supposed to be quick and decisive for the Navy. They had cannons positioned perfectly. Experience, institutional power. Roberts' crew fought hard, showing every bit of their legendary skill, but it was the end of an era nonetheless. Black Bart was shot down in the fighting, and just before dying, he allegedly requested that they throw his body into the sea rather than let the Navy hang it from the gibbet afterward. Respect your opponent even as they're dying. That's the code nobody talks about in these stories. Then there's the Battle of the Whydah. 1717, Samuel Bellamy, known as Black Sam, had captured a massive slave ship and was basically untouchable. He was young, charismatic, successful, and he had gold. Lots of gold. He had fame. He had everything a pirate could possibly want, except luck. A massive nor'easter storm off Cape Cod rolled in suddenly, and the ocean decided that piracy was stupid. The Whydah, heavy with treasure and riding dangerously low in the water, went down like a stone. Bellamy went down with it, along with most of his crew and absolutely all of his treasure scattered on the ocean floor. No dramatic Navy battle, no sword fights, no chance to negotiate or flee. Just nature saying no with complete finality. Bellamy died at 28 years old, and his legend became bigger in death than it ever could have been in life. Sometimes the most dangerous battles aren't fought against people at all. They're fought against the sea itself. Anne Bonny and Mary Read, fighting alongside Calico Jack Rackham in 1720, proved something that everyone wanted to ignore. Piracy wasn't just a man's game. even though society desperately wanted to believe it was. When they were captured off Jamaica, the entire male crew was sentenced to hang immediately. Quick trial, quick conviction, quick death. Anne and Mary, they claimed they were pregnant. Legal immunity. Didn't matter if it was true or false. The moment they weaponized the system against itself, they became dangerous in ways that cutlasses and cannons couldn't measure. Anne's last recorded words to Calico Jack supposedly were something like, "Had you fought like a man, you wouldn't have to hang like a dog." Respect for competence, contempt for cowardice. Absolute character. They understood that victory wasn't always about the sword. The Indian Ocean saw different kinds of battles, bigger ones, richer ones. Henry Every, captain of the Fancy, took on the Mughal Empire's treasure fleet in one of the most audacious moves in pirate history. The Ganges Sawai was absolutely massive, loaded with gold and jewels beyond calculation, sailing under the protection of what everyone thought was an impenetrable naval force. The Fancy was fast and aggressive and piloted by a captain who understood risk. Every used speed to catch the larger ship, used close quarters tactics to make her size and weight worthless. He captured the Ganges Sawai with its entire treasure intact and then did something nobody else managed. He disappeared with it completely. No navy caught him, no body ever found, no execution. He just vanished with millions in treasure and nobody ever discovered where he went or what happened to him. Sometimes winning means knowing when to quit before the system can answer back. Charles Vane refused to quit, and refusing to quit killed him. He operated in the Caribbean in the early 1720s, fearless and brutal in equal measure, earning a reputation for violence that made even other pirates uncomfortable. When the Royal Navy came for him with determination and numbers, he fought until captured. Unlike Blackbeard, who died fighting, Vane wasn't killed in combat. He was tried in Port Royal, convicted in what passed for justice at the time, and then executed publicly. His body was left hanging in chains on an island as a warning to anyone who might think about continuing the pirate life. The message was absolutely clear to everyone watching. Piracy was becoming organized crime, and crime had serious consequences now. The age of individual legends was over. Olivier Levasseur, the French pirate called La Buse, targeted merchant ships along the African coast throughout the 1720s with a different approach than most. He was cunning, using disguises and deception to get close to his targets. He'd fly false flags, change his entire appearance, pretend to be civilian merchants himself before attacking. Psychology over force, trickery over firepower. Eventually, though, the Royal Navy caught up with him off the coast of Madagascar. He was hanged in 1735, but before dying, he supposedly threw a coded document into the crowd watching his execution. "Whoever solves my riddle will find my treasure." No one ever did. In the centuries since, treasure hunters have chased that code. Maybe it's still out there on some island. Maybe it never existed at all. Maybe Levasseur just wanted his last words to matter. The legend is worth more than any gold could ever be. Then there's Edward Lowe, who operated in the Atlantic throughout the 1720s and 1730s. He was brutal in ways that made other pirates uncomfortable, torturing prisoners, mutilating bodies, building a reputation on pure fear. His ship was fast, his crew was violent, and he captured merchant vessel after merchant vessel. But violence has a way of coming back. When naval ships cornered him, Lowe fled in a small boat and disappeared completely. Some say he was never caught. Some say he died in obscurity somewhere. The truth is lost now, buried under decades of legend and myth. What remains is the image of a man so cruel that even the Golden Age of Piracy had to distance itself from him. These battles, from the bloody beaches of Panama to the cold waters off Cape Cod, from the open oceans of the Indian Ocean to the shallow waters of the Caribbean, tell a story about power, about when it rises and when it inevitably falls. Pirates weren't invincible. They just operated at the edge of civilization long enough to become myths. And myths, once created, never really die. If you've made it this far, hit subscribe, drop a like, ring the bell, and tell me in the comments which pirate battle you think was the most intense.